Long before cities, armies, and empires, there was one man who became the very first king. No laws, no governments, no history books yet. Just him stepping forward to lead humanity for the very first time. Who was he, and how did he change the course of civilization forever? Historians tell us that the first kings appeared over 5,000 years ago in Sumer, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, modern-day Iraq. These early rulers weren't just figureheads. They were lawgivers, city builders, and protectors. The earliest recorded name? King Alulim of Eridu. According to the Sumerian King List, he ruled in a time so long ago it almost feels like a myth. Some texts even suggest he reigned for tens of thousands of years. Though, let's be real, that's probably a symbolic way to show his importance. So what made kings so important? Before them, humans were just small groups trying to survive. But under kings, communities began to grow into cities. Kings organized workers, built walls to protect the people, dug canals to bring water to the fields, and established trade routes that connected towns. In short, kings turned scattered tribes into civilizations. They created a structure, a sense of order, the first real step toward the empires and kingdoms we know from history books. Now let's talk about King Alulim's legacy, because this dude wasn't just some random ancient guy sitting on a dusty throne. Nah, he was the blueprint, the OG ruler, the first guy to ever say, "All right, everybody chill, let's get organized." And even though we don't got selfies, statues, or TikTok from 5,000 years ago, his impact is massive. Every clay tablet, every ancient story, every temple built in his time, it all points to one thing. This man kicked off the whole idea of leadership. Like before kings, humans were basically just vibing in small groups. After kings, boom, cities, laws, temples, armies, trade, civilization starts leveling up like crazy. And King Alulim, whether he was a real dude, a legendary figure, or a mix of both, became the symbol of that upgrade. He's the reason rulers all around the world, from pharaohs in Egypt to emperors in China, started flexing power and building huge civilizations. So even if we can't picture his face, his fingerprint is all over human history. Every government, every kingdom, every empire, they're all basically answering a question that started with him. What does it really mean to lead people? And that's why Alulim isn't just the first king. He's the spark that lit the fire of civilization itself. Man, just take a second and think about this. We're out here living in massive cities, scrolling on our phones, driving cars, flying planes, but way back in the day, none of this existed. It all started with tiny villages sitting in the middle of nowhere and one dude stepping up to lead for the very first time. That first king, he wasn't just wearing a crown and chilling. Nah, he was the guy who turned chaos into structure. He helped humans go from everybody doing whatever to, okay, let's build something real. He brought people together, kept things in order, and laid down the blueprint for how society would work for thousands of years. When you look at ancient ruins today, those broken walls, old temples, cracked clay tablets, you're actually looking at the impact of those early kings. They took humanity from scattered tribes to full-blown civilizations. And honestly, that's wild. From King Alulim all the way to the rulers we hear about in history books, that first spark of leadership changed everything. So next time you're walking through the streets of a modern city, just remember, it all traces back to a moment in history when one man stood up and became the first king. It's crazy how one decision, thousands of years ago, reshaped the entire human story. And we're all still living in the world that moment created.